Welcome to part 2 of our annual forum video. So I'd like to introduce 3 members of staff to talk to you about our last year's statistics. Firstly, we'll have Karen looking at annual review data. Then we'll have Alec looking at site inspection data. And then finally, there'll be Leon, and he's going to talk to you about accident and ill health data. Over to you guys.
Hello. What we're looking at here is a rather terrifying clash of a lot of bright colours all over the page. This amazing thing is brought to us by a team of Microsoft Excel, you, our 400 plus member clients through our safety advisors, and our consultant support specialists, Jessica and Alex. Every time we come out and carry out an annual review, we capture all of the scores there. That line of data is fed into this rather marvellous spreadsheet which tells us an awful lot of information. Now that we have such a large membership and made up of so many companies across so many sectors, it's giving us some very meaningful data to work with. We're able to iron out a lot of the anomalies and start to see real things that are meaningful to work with. So let's jump in and have a look at what some of these things can tell us and what we have found from having looked through your ARM scores. First of all, we have the number 78. Now, not only is it numerically the number that sits between 77 and 79, it is the atomic number of platinum, the number of cards in a typical tarot deck, the total number of gifts in the 12 days of Christmas. Now, that one was a new one to me, but it is also the average score achieved by you, our clients, at your annual review meetings. Let's have a look at what we found in that 78%. Areas that you have excelled in. Accident reporting. Now, that doesn't mean that you've actually had a lot of accidents or that that was a very good thing. What it does tell us is that even if you are having a lot of accidents, your workforce are coming forward and reporting them. They are owning up to what has happened. That has been giving you an opportunity to investigate them and to take steps to try and prevent it happening again. So for us, that is a very strong pointer towards a good safety culture, to have a good accident reporting process in place. Use of the advice line. This makes us very pleased. This is one of the things that we are here for, is to be your advisors. We have a rota in the office where one of us is on duty every single day, here and able to answer questions every time you call in. If it's a simple, straightforward question, we can come back to you with the answer immediately. Other times we may want to just look into it a little bit more, discuss it with each other. That way we can be sure that when we come back to you, we give you the very best advice that we can give you. Safety policies. Very good to see that this is a high scoring mark on your annual reviews. It means that the decision makers within your companies are putting your pen to the paper, you're signing up to your policies, and you are communicating those with your workforce. Make no mistake, don't ever underestimate the power of a signature. When it really matters, there is nothing more powerful than seeing that signature on the paper. The last area that has scored very well in our annual safety reviews is vehicles and managing your risk on the roads. For many of us in all of our organisations, spending a lot of time on the roads is a significant part of our days. And so it's very good for us to see that this area is being managed well. And we have had seminars on this very topic, so we're glad to see that there is the interest from you in taking this area seriously. We now turn to the areas where we can help you grow. That's the polite way of saying actually the areas that you weren't quite so good at. But that is what we are here for. We are here to help you in these areas. Let's have a look at some of the areas that are perhaps perceived as weaker, certainly weaker scoring. Seminars and other CPD, continuing professional development. What are you doing to keep yourself up to speed with health and safety legislation, with what is going on around you that affects your business? Now, seminars are something that we put on every single month, and it has been a wonderful area of growth in this last year. we've now got to the point where we're having to very carefully arrange the chairs to be able to fit everyone in at our seminars. Also, the other thing that has come out from this, looking through all of our data, we've been able to identify weaker areas, and we can target those as some of our topics for our seminars. And so you will see a lot of those subjects coming up that are addressing areas that we feel are slightly weaker across the membership. Another weak area that has come up and been highlighted is reviewing others' risk assessments, cost information, the RAMs that are put forward to you by your contractors or your subcontractors. We know that in the Health and Safety at Work Act, employers have a duty to their employees. All of you will be familiar with Section 2 of the Health and Safety at Work Act. However, Section 3 is written very specially, employers' duties to non-employees, those people who may be affected by your activities. Self-employed people have those same duties as well. And in that area, contractors that you're having on your premises, subcontractors, if you are a client, a principal contractor, perhaps if you're a larger specialist trade and employing your own subcontractors, they have duties to consider the people who are not employed by themselves. This is an area which does need to be very carefully managed, and it is laid out in the Health and Safety at Work Act. Ties in very carefully, very closely to our third area, subcontractor checks. What efforts are you going to, and how much can you prove the efforts that you are going to establish the competence of the contractors that you are using? To help you in this area, we have developed 3 specific tools that will help you in being able to establish the competence of your own contractors. We are obviously also here and available to help you at any time that you need us to come alongside you on this. We have run seminars on this, and it is a topic that we will be picking up on again and having a look at how we can help you manage this very large area of risk in some of your cases. Last number that we'd like to have a look at is the number 9. It is the number of rings of power in Middle Earth. It is also an exponential factorial of the number 3, the atomic number of fluorine. And, you're probably wondering where this is leading us to, it is the percentage of you, our member clients, who have scored 100% in your annual safety reviews. This is an approximate figure. It hasn't taken into account our newer clients, but because of the wealth of data that we've got to work with, the pool and the size of it, we are happy to confidently say that this is representative of the portion of our clients who have achieved 100% score in their annual safety reviews. Having reached 100% means that you have reached the very heady heights of complying with law. That kind of takes the glamour out of it a little bit when we put it that way. But we do know that to reach that point has required an awful lot of hard work and a lot of commitment on the part of all of the companies here who have achieved that score. And we will be celebrating those successes with you. And now I'll hand you over to Alec. He's going to tell you about the site inspections data and what we have learned from that. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Alec. I'm a Health and Safety Consultant at HCS Safety, and I'd like to talk to you about safety inspection data and what it tells us, the data being what we collated through 2019. The average score overall is 90%, which is very good, and everyone needs to be very sort of proud of that if they're in that category. Honourable mentions, just so you know, companies such as Vision Scaffolding, Broadsword Projects, DLG Electrical, Ryden Joinery, JB Hopkins, Ideal Interiors, Highwood Construction, Mountjoy, WSCL, ACL, LST Projects, O&D Construction, Earlcote Construction and Plant Hire, and Alfred Homes. Just worth mentioning though, we did have some site scores that were around the 70% mark, mentioning no names of course, but really, really good if, as always, all companies can be trying to strive to get ever better with their site inspection scores. And on a similar sort of vein there, we do have many clients that perhaps don't utilise ourselves to carry out site inspections, and therefore our data is only as good as the data that we can collect. So if we can help any of our clients that perhaps don't use this service, and they will perhaps consider it in the future, then yeah, we're only too pleased to help. So if perhaps we drill into the data that was collated, areas where perhaps companies can and should be doing a little bit better with regards to risk assessments. And that's not to say that solely the risk assessments weren't that good. Equally, we had sort of certain issues that we picked up during the inspections whereby the assessments weren't communicated effectively to their staff, and of course, in order to close the loop, that is a key element that needs to be covered off as well. Another element perhaps that you know, scored or attracted deductions was scaffold. Now, fully appreciate the scaffold is in general quite a sort of big topic, very high profile topic on a project, and you know, it is along the lines of not only have we sort of been seeing that some scaffolds have been tampered with or been adjusted by unauthorised persons, but you know, these sorts of areas are something that the site manager needs to be very conscious of to try and ensure that that doesn't occur. And we do, as part of our support function, carry out site inspections and scaffold inspections equally. So if we can assist in that area, in that regard, it's again something else we'd love to help you with. Another area that perhaps has attracted some deductions is work at height. That's almost again a bit of a twofold affair, whereby it's sometimes been the access equipment that's been selected or has been being used has perhaps not been appropriate or the correct type or the best type, shall we say, and then the actual activity itself, working at height. Some operatives, some site staff members perhaps were unaware of the dangers that were sort of they were facing, whereas others perhaps were aware, yet they felt it was perhaps okay to take a chance, take a risk, while as perhaps we'll always promote, it's never worth taking a chance or taking a risk. Turning that round onto the positive though, areas that through the site inspections we felt a lot of our clients were doing very well at were things like health and safety plans. Excellent to see some very good plans out there that are nicely thought out, good detail within them, and also not just having the plan being just the case, the fact that the plan was being used and that others knew about what it talked about, what it was promoting, and others all involved in the project were signed up to it, which was pleasing, of course. A more topic-specific area where companies that we carried out site inspection for were doing very well at was overhead and underground services, so prevention of, perhaps coming into contact with, and all the upfront activities that are often done to try and detect perhaps underground cabling before allowing any digging processes to occur. Again, we felt that you know, all of that in general was being done very well by our clients. So yeah, first class, top notch. The other area worthy of mention is lifting operations. We felt that not only were most of our clients, of course, creating very good lifting plans, but they were equally being used well out there in the field, and similarly to sort of the health and safety plan side of things, everybody that was involved in the lifting operations was all signed up to the plan, and there was evidence of that fact, which again is fantastic because, as we know, lifting operations is a very high risk, high profile activity, and in effect is first on the list of dangerous occurrences to report to the HCS should something go wrong under the RIDDOR regulations. So another reason for getting that done right, and yeah, well done all for sort of continuing to do that. So in effect, those are the highlights of our data that we collected for 2019 with regards to site inspections. So thank you very much for your time, and I'd now like to hand you over to Leon, who's going to talk about accident and ill health data. Thank you.
Okay, this section is on the statistics released by the Health and Safety Executive over the last year from 2018 to 2019. We're lucky in this industry as we have key statistics released by the government organisation, and it really helps us to see where employees are going wrong. It shows that it tells a good story. There are two main places or sources we get these statistics from. One being the RIDDOR regulations, whereas employees have to employ fatal injuries, accidents, dangerous occurrences and illnesses. And also the other source is something called the Labour Force Survey, which is an anonymous survey sent out to a variety of households in the UK, where they submit either through telephone conversation or through a survey, and which then gets fed back to the HSE. That is key data on time they've had off for injuries and stress, and it's more of a true telling story of what's happening in the UK. First thing I want you all to do is have a go at our little quiz. We've got several tiles up there with figures and the wording on there. What I need you to do is try and match the wording up to the figures. So you need to pause your video, have a look, see if you can match them up, and then we'll come back in a few seconds. Okay, so how did you do? Let's have a look at these figures and see if we've matched them up correctly. We'll start with the fatalities. So the answer was 147 fatalities in the workplace from March 2018 to 2019. And we have seen over the last 20 years a steady 5% decrease, with the last couple of years not really moving. It has fluctuated slightly, maybe because of the economy. But we've also seen a worrying trend of members of the public being killed in the workplace, which is actually at 92, which is quite a scary statistic. Then we have a look at lung diseases. So we've seen 12,000 reported cases of lung diseases, and now these are existing and ongoing and new cases of lung diseases, which includes asbestosis, mesothelioma, and COPD, but we'll go into that in a little bit more detail on the next slide. I think the big figure on there which would concern us all is how much this costs the UK economy, to a tune of 15 billion according to the statistics. But in a real study, in other studies, we've seen that figure go to nearly double that, at 30 billion pounds for the cost of the UK economy, just from people having accidents and being ill in the workplace. This slide looks at mental health and the impact it has on our industry, or in the workplace. And as you can see from the diagram there, with 54% of the working days lost are due to mental health or poor mental health. And you can also see the industry sectors which are the worst. Now at HCS, in this respect, we've seen this trend, this increasing trend within the industry, and we are trying to help you in respect of trying to identify where these problems are in your business. And we will be talking later on, as I will be talking about the stress questionnaire that we are going to release. HCS Safety also run mental health first aid courses every month, which is also put on to help this worrying trend of poor mental health in the workplace, and it guides you through on how to help your workforce. This slide shows us the effect of asbestos and other dangerous chemicals and how they affect lung health in the UK. The most worrying trend on this particular slide is that 33% of the cases are of COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. and the main causes of this, especially in the construction industry, is silica dust. And this will continue, and it has showing a worrying trend over the last 10 years. The asbestos cases that we can see are from cases, are long-standing cases, not generally new cases, because of how long ago asbestos was banned in this country. The next slide is regarding workplace injuries, and this particular statistic hasn't changed a great deal over the last 20 years. Slips, trips and falls are still the biggest cause of workplace non-fatal injuries. We've seen a steady decline in the amount of workplace injuries over the last 20 years, but I believe, and many of my colleagues will also back me up, that slips, trips and falls are the easiest injury to stop in the workplace. This is regarding good housekeeping. This is keeping your site tidy, keeping the workplace tidy, removing cables, removing rubbish from the floor. It will remove this, and it will reduce the amounts that incidents are affecting the UK economy each year. Now this slide is a comparison to the HCS national statistics, and these are the accidents that we have investigated here and that you have reported to us over the last 12 months. We've had 15 reportable incidents to us in the last year, one of which was a reportable disease. So you can see the comparison between the two, so 14 injuries and one reportable disease. Now you can see our statistics mirror the national average. We've seen that slips and trips are the biggest cause of injuries in the UK, and you can see on our chart there that fractures are the biggest injury. This is a selection of some of the worst accidents that we've had to unfortunately investigate for our clients, and you'll see that if you read through all of them, the majority are falls from height and temporary works issues, or fall from temporary works. Now this shows us how important risk assessing, working at height, and also keeping a control on the temporary works in generally construction, because we know that construction is one of the most dangerous industries in the UK.